At a damp Donington Park, we are ready for race 2 of the weekend, round 6 of the championship for the BRDC British F3 Championship. They had 4 busy races at Alton Park, and yesterday a rather frantic affair that resulted in a maiden win for Louis Foster. It had the championship leader, Frederick, off the road at the end of the opening lap, and he tumbled from what was pole position and an early race lead way down the order, ultimately to finish in 8th place. Now, it is, as you see, a wet road. It's mid-August, even though the gloom suggests otherwise. And so because they qualified in the dry yesterday, they get 2 warming-up laps to go round onto the grid because of that change in condition. So this isn't the race itself. This is the second of those warming-up laps. And it's a reverse grid. So Ulysse de Pauw, who retired from the race yesterday, had a pit stop. He gets pole position with, alongside him at the front, Max Maserati. On the second row, there is Carter Williams and Guillaume Picciotto for Carlin. The third row of the grid, Oliver Clark for Hillspeed and Manaf Hijawi, one of a number of drivers on the grid who was busy in the MRF Challenge at the start of the season. Josh Mason, another of those drivers, is 7th. Bart Horston in a different chassis because he had a big accident in testing a few days ago. He starts 8th for this. Nazim Asman and Benjamin Pedersen round out the top 10 on the grid. 11th is Frederick. Now, he's one to watch because he has already had a couple of wins within the championship this year and should be able to make good progress from there. Sassakorn Chaimon Cole is alongside him. Next on the grid, Josh Skelton for Chris Dittman's team and Cian Jewis, who won the opening race at Alton Park, admittedly after Frederick got a jump start penalty. Cian Jewis, former British Formula 4 champion, very quick driver and will be a man to watch. Then you've got Piers Pryor, who's also been a race winner this season. He won the equivalent race, the reverse grid race at Alton Park. Kush Maini lines up with him. 3rd yesterday, 2nd yesterday, Rhys Ushijima, and the race winner, Louis Foster. They will go from 17th and 18th respectively on the grid. 19th is the one man that didn't finish yesterday's race, Nico Baroni. He's been a race winner at Spa in these cars in the past, but because he fell off into the gravel yesterday, so he will start at the back. You have to finish to benefit from that reverse grid. If you don't, you start at the back, but it means that because we only lost 1 car from the race yesterday, so Louis Foster does start an awful long way back. Yesterday's race did have 1 or 2 spots of rain just before the start. They didn't come to anything, but it is very definitely a wet road that we have this morning. They're on the wet tyre that is provided by Pirelli for this championship. They are all Tatius chassis. They have Mount-Hune engines. There's been an evolution of the car this year just to modernise it, to keep it fresh. We are good then to go racing for the 6th round of the BRDC British F3 Championship. Because it's the reverse grid race, the points are only on offer for the top 12 finishers. It's a slightly reduced scale of points, but you also get points for the number of cars that you overtake to try to generate more action within this reverse grid race. And in these conditions, you could be a real hero, benefiting from exploiting the conditions or the mistakes of others. So 12 laps or 20 minutes, depending on which is completed first. David Addison trackside, Ulysse de Pauw on pole position. Drivers now look towards the lighting gantry. The lights go red. It's been quite a long wait for them. The lights quickly out, away they go. Slightly sluggish start there by Max Maserati from the outside of the front row, and he loses a place straight away to Carter Williams, making his championship debut this weekend, number 5. But an absolutely demon getaway by Ulysse de Pauw then as they dive down towards Redgate for the first time. This is your first pinch point to see if everybody's going to get through safely. And of course those in the midfield trying to make progress but sitting in a ball of spray. We've had a bit of track running this morning, 1 race, 1 warm-up session for sports cars, but generally the conditions now worse than they've been at any time of the day. It's a very wet road, there's a lot of spray as they tiptoe down through the old hairpin for the first time. 81 running out a little bit wide, that is Maserati falling down the field potentially from that outside of row 1 grid position as the cars now storm up towards the left-hander of Schwanzkerve for the first time. But Ulysse de Pauw in his 2nd year in these cars looking to try to get away. Another man on a mission, look, number 71 there, in a big hurry, trying to muscle up on the inside line. Manaf Hijawi, who started 6th on the grid, and they're forced out wide on the outside line. Oliver Clark, number 62. So race leaders work their way for the first time down towards the Fogarty S's, and it's becoming a little bit singular up front, isn't it, as Ulysse de Pauw tries to accelerate away. The battle is on, though, here, almost 3 wide as they dive down to the braking area. The red car of Oliver Clark goes up the inside, bangs wheels with Maserati, and up the inside, look, he's going to go the Douglas Motorsport car as they come over the brow. So number 71 then, Manaf Hijawi, benefits from the wheel banging, gains a couple of places. He's got Guillaume Picciotto next up behind him in the blue Carlin car looking to make progress. There's more wheel banging down at the Melbourne hairpin. And you've got to say that poor old Max Maserati is having a dreadful time in this, partly because it wasn't a great start and he's been roughed up good and proper over the course of the lap as they dive down towards the Goddard's left-hander. Ooh, very nearly contact there as Piers Pryor was late on the brakes. Up the escape road and off the circuit has gone Sasakor Chaimankol. So some drivers mastering the conditions, others rather less successful in so doing. Ulysse de Pauw, pole, leads the way. 2 seconds to the good then. Accelerating his way down through the Craner curves now out of Hollywood. And Ulysse de Pauw, who got a couple of podiums last year, has not yet had a win in these cars. So the 18-year-old Belgian driver for Wayne Douglas's team, Douglas Motorsport, leads the way. Frederick is currently running in 9th place, 11th on the grid. Cars turn their way out of the old hairpin. And there you can see number 17 of Nazim Asman about to lose out because he's got his teammate Frederick, number 8, with the yellow stripes on the Carlin blue, disappearing into the spray. Where is he? There he is, and he's through on the inside line. So the American driver and the championship getting lots of American drivers over this year. It's a good single-seater scene back in the States, but many of them coming to exploit the British scene. Frederick gains a spot. Remember, point gained for places that you take within the race. Sasakor Chaimankol has been in and out of the pit lane. He's back in the race somewhat distant. Meantime, battle is on for second place, and you've got at the moment Carter Williams under attack from Manaf Hijawi. Carter Williams, who is new into the championship this weekend, having been racing in the British F4 Championship and some Formula Ford 1600 events last year. He's got the Jordanian Manaf Hijawi there right up behind him. Hijawi was a race winner within the MRF Challenge, the Indian-based single-seater series, which runs across the winter months, finishes every February, or did, every February in Chennai. And he's about to go second because through he goes on the inside line as Carter Williams ran out of grip, went too deep into Goddard's, but he fights back, gets the undercut, look as they come across the timing line, and he retakes the place. Great racing this. So Carter Williams goes back through. He's got the outside line, diving down to Redgate on the inside line. Manaf Hijawi breaks as late as he possibly can. Look in the blue car. Is he going to be able to go through? Inside line at Redgate, inside line for Hollywood. They're still wheel to wheel. The next corner will favour Carter Williams, number 5, the silver car, because he's on the inside. Look, he's going to come back at him, but no, loses out. Has to slot back in behind as they plunge downhill. That was brave stuff by Manaf Hijawi. Except that he gets it all wrong coming out of the old hairpin. This is going to be in the tyres. It is, and that will be a retirement. Damaged suspension, the rear wing ripped off the car. And straight away, the frustration is evident. That's a very crumpled back corner. Manaf Hijawi, having just taken second place, runs just a fraction wide out of the old hairpin. The car spits across the road. Now let's see whether or not the car is going to stay there, because if anybody else goes off, they're going to strike it. Can it be covered with yellow flags or not? Watch this space. Meantime, Ulysse de Pauw leads the way on this third lap of the race as they come down now towards the Fogarty S's. So it is de Pauw, it was Hijawi in second place from Williams, Clark, Picciotto and then Pedersen, but that's all going to shuffle as there Manaf Hijawi gets out of the car. The grid for race 3 based on your second best qualifying time, so it's a disappointment in this race. It doesn't necessarily ruin his third race. And another one in strife. Look, number 43 has got it wrong. That's Josh Skelton for Chris Dittman's team coming out of the Fogarty S's. Now he's going to try and turn the car back in the right direction, which he does and gets away. Now, Josh Skelton 4th in British F4 last year. Now, while all that's been going on, absolutely out on his own is Ulysse de Pauw. He's just done the fastest lap of the race as the tyres come up and find the grip and the fuel load comes down. Plus, there's a battle on behind, and look, there's damage there on 99. So, Guillaume Picciotto's car has picked up front right damage, the wing knocked askew. This is Frederick in replay, turning into the Fogarty S's, rides the curb. Does this give us an indication of what happened to Josh Skelton behind? It does. He rides over the curb, which are painted and wet and oh so slippery, and you just show the pedal your right foot and round it goes. You've got to be so careful. Ulysse de Pauw driving a great race here. So de Pauw up front for Douglas Motorsport, as I say, double podium finisher last year, race the year before in the French Formula 4 Championship, in which he was a race winner. And now Picciotto running in 4th place, being caught by Benjamin Pedersen, is in danger of losing more places before the end. Now, Sasakor Chaimankol, having made his pit stop, is running on his own, and he has done the fastest lap of the race. He's way back, still in 18th place, but underlining the speed that he's got here. So the race leader Ulysse de Pauw, nearly 6 seconds to the good now as battle is on. Number 5 is Carter Williams, under attack from 62 on the inside line. Oliver Clark goes through the hill speed car up into second place, then down a place drops Carter Williams, learning about the car. He's 4 races down, if you like, on track time relative to everybody else, but he's picking up the nuances of the car nicely. Guillaume Picciotto, despite the damage, still being able to fight in there. Caelan Frederick trying to gain ground as well as he comes up round the outside, but Picciotto is about to try and relieve Williams of his 3rd place, and he does so as they come over the timing line. That now puts 4 laps in the book. We've got just under 13 minutes to go as they drop down to the right-hander of Redgate Corner. Race order on screen. 7.5 seconds now is the margin that Ulysse de Pauw has over the opposition. They're set to drop down the hill here. Piers Pryor running in 9th place. He won this equivalent race at Alton Park. But Carter Williams now, he's under real attack because Caelan Frederick, first of all, tries to get up the inside there of Benjamin Pedersen. He can't do it, but he's very much on the attack, isn't he? Frederick then charging forward. So he started 11th on the grid. He is up into 6th place. Points gained for those 5 positions that he has been able to advance, and he's not done yet. Carter Williams then dropping away a little in terms of places as they come now down through the approach to Coppice out of that right-hander. There you've got number 17, which is Nazim Azman, been a race winner in the past and looking to try to make progress, but Ulysse de Pauw is away and gone up front, isn't he, right now? Frederick to the inside line there, looking the yellow and blue car, tries to force the issue into the braking zone against Pedersen, but he's not going to be able to do it there. But it's not for the want of trying as they sprint then now down to the Melbourne hairpin. Race leader Ulysse de Pauw away and gone pretty much as they break for the hairpin. Caelan Frederick to the inside line. This should be the place gain then. Absolutely wheel to wheel with Benjamin Pedersen, and also trying to get past Carter Williams coming out of the corner. He's got past Pedersen then. Now as they sprint up the hill, the 2 Americans running side by side. Caelan Frederick on the outside line. Benjamin Pedersen tries to fight back on the inside line, and he will do. And there's yet another American, Carter Williams, ahead of them. So this very Stars and Stripes battle comes through. Frederick does go ahead of Pedersen. So in fairness to him, Danish-American, dual nationality driver, falls back behind Caelan Frederick, and Pedersen is under further attack now, diving down through Redgate Corner. Bart Horston trying to gain places as well there. Horston, I think, is through on the inside line. Here comes Frederick. That should put him up past Carter Williams. Yes, it does. So Caelan Frederick now goes 4th from 11th on the grid. Really good drive, this. No, he's not done yet either, because we've still got half the race in terms of time and 7 laps to go. I think it's going to be time more than laps, given that the pace is slower in these wet conditions. Nazim Azman goes through. He's got Piers Pryor tucked up behind him. Piers Pryor busy. Carter, single-seater racer, done a bit of mini racing in his time as well. But number 62 there, heading into Coppice. Oliver Clark running in currently, 2nd spot, and that is Guillaume Picciotto off the road. Picciotto had already got damage, and the F4 America driver off the road and back on again. That is going to drop him way out of his 3rd place. So Caelan Frederick suddenly is geared for another position, another increase in points. I'm not suggesting he's going to catch Ulysse de Pauw, and not only has Picciotto just been off the road, but he's also been given the meatball flag, the mechanical warning flag, because of that damaged nose cone. The Carlin team is ready to receive him. He'll be heading for the pits this time by the look of it. So as the cars come out of the Melbourne hairpin, Ulysse de Pauw it is that leads the way. And there is the battle developing for 2nd place now. Oliver Clark against Caelan Frederick. Intriguing to see Caelan Frederick's ultimate fastest lap in this race, a 42.4. Well, actually, the best of anybody now is Josh Skelton, a 41.2. So running in traffic, not good for lap times, even if you've got the pace. If he can get ahead of Oliver Clark, he might then be able to really up his pace and bring the gap down to the race leader. However, 9 minutes remain on the clock. The leading car is the Douglas Motorsport entry of Ulysse de Pauw. That's the order. De Pauw ahead of Clark, Frederick, Horston, Williams, Pedersen, Azman and Miney, the top 8. Cush Miney, another man in a hurry, up from 16th. Now Louis Foster, yesterday's winner, 18th on the grid, only 11th, so not quite making the same progress. Son of BMW racer and sometime touring car driver Nick Foster. Louis looked after by Mark Blundell's company, winner in the MRF Challenge as you look at the 2nd place fight. And it's looking now as though Caelan Frederick is going to get 2nd place when, rather than if. It could even come at Coppice, because he has a look on the inside line there. Oliver Clark runs a little bit deep into this double apex long right-hander onto Starkey Straight, past what used to be the exhibition centre, down towards the Fogarty S's. These two a long way clear of Bart Horston. fastest lap, still Josh Skelton. He could go even quicker this time, incidentally. So, into the S's. Clark rides the curb. Yes, you gain a fraction of a second by doing that, but you also put yourself at risk by going over the curbs. Down they come towards the Melbourne hairpin. Frederick lunges up the inside, and Oliver Clark thinks, you're quicker, I'm going to have to let you go here. Discretion being the better part of valour and all of that. So, now, is there any chance at all of this lead gap coming down? Let us see. Ulysse de Pauw, 9 seconds clear. There in second place is Caelan Frederick. We've got just under 8 minutes, or 5 laps, depending on which is completed first. Nazim Azman, number 17, gets up the inside there of Kush Miney. That's a proper battle for position. Kush Miney making his way forward. So Miney is the one to watch out of all of that. 7th and 8th they run as they come over the timing line. Azman in number 17 goes defensive there, look. Turns down through Redgate. Kush Miney comes up to have a go on the outside line. The Malaysian and the Indian drivers absolutely wheel to wheel. Swooping their way down through the Craner curves, out of Hollywood into the braking zone for the old hairpin. Carter Williams hanging on to that 6th place, but again there's a whole train of cars building up behind him, possibly ready to make the attack. There goes 22 Piers Pryor, who is a little bit further back in 9th position. Cian Jewis 10th, and Jewis is somebody else that you should anticipate to be on the move. In fact, has he dropped back? He has, because Louis Foster has finally got past him. So Louis Foster breaks into the top 10. Cian Jewis losing rather than gaining. So now Louis Foster crawls all over the back of Piers Pryor and looks to try to gain a position as they come onto Starkey Straight once more. Nazim Azman to the inside line again to try to defend, but gains Kush Miney. Covers off that line as they come to the S's. Of course, it's hard to overtake in these conditions because you've got to go offline to do the overtaking where there is even less grip available. It is a very slippy road anyway. Kush Miney dives up the inside. Can he get the car stopped? He can. He's up alongside Azman. Piers Pryor looks to try to buy into this as well, but he's way sideways. Piers Pryor there, look. Rally style almost as he flings it out of the Melbourne hairpin, slithers up towards the curb, corrects the slide, they brake, they turn now into the left at Goddard's. You see Pryor under attack from Louis Foster, so that means that as they come up towards the timing line, Louis Foster continues to try to make his way up the order. He may not have gained all that many places early in the race, but he's going the right way about it now. Having said that, Pachotto, by the way, was being given that mechanical warning flag. He's still out there, hasn't yet pitted for the new nose cone. We've got, as you see, 5 3/4 minutes to go. 4 laps remain. Ulysse de Pauw leads by 7 seconds. Josh Skelton's fastest lap is an even quicker one now, 1 minute 40.652. But in the spray here, you've got Carter Williams in 6th place. Peter 7th now. Kush Miney down to 8th goes Nazim Azman. 9th is Piers Pryor. Louis Foster is 10th as they go past the stricken car of Manaf Hajawi. So Douglas Motorsports, Ulysse de Pauw leads the way, looking for that maiden victory in BRDC British F3. Nazim Azman turns through Coppice. The leaders, incidentally, just going over the line. So it's got a large gap that the leaders are building up, but the cars down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Kush Miney makes his move against Carter Williams on the inside line. He's going to be able to go through. He thinks about it, rides the curb. Yes, he does go through. Forces Carter Williams out wide. So the JHR Developments car of Carter Williams forced out wide, loses a spot. Kush Miney in a big, big hurry for High Tech as he comes through. High Tech, the Oliver Oakes own team these days. Sprinting his way now is Kush Miney into the top 6 and up towards Goddard's. Clock ticks on down, and now, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Guillaume Pachotto back into 12th place. He's being given the black flag. He's ignored the meatball flag. Now the black flag, which means come into the pit lane and have a word with the clerk of the course. Hopefully that's going to be responded to, but that tends to put you in hot water. He is in this time. The nose cone is there, but whether he's going to be allowed back out is at the discretion of the race director, David Scott. So there is the nose cone being affixed. And if the marshals say, no, 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 you're staying put, then he will have so to do, but otherwise he will be allowed back out into the race. Fastest lap of the race now to Caelan Frederick. He's brought the gap down to 6 seconds. I fear it's going to be too late to catch the leader, but he's certainly not giving up, is he, now that he's in clear air for the first time really in the race. Louis Foster here is right onto the back of Carter Williams, going for what is 8th place. Round the outside, fantastic move going through McLean's. Louis Foster in Madras at the start of the year proved to be a very brave man round the outside, turn one, lap one to get the lead of an MRF Challenge race, but in the wet, round the outside at McLean's, that is impressive. Louis Foster takes a position then, and every place means more points, not only in terms of championship points, but the points you gain for overtaking. So it was worth doing, it was worth risking everything. And Louis Foster goes through, as you see Frederick in second spot, turning his way out of the Melbourne hairpin with 3 minutes on the clock. That's the leader, Ulysse de Pauw, who has had a fairly lonely race. I'm sure it's not been easy in these conditions because, of course, he is always the pioneer on every lap. He is the first one to discover the puddles. Guillaume Picciotto, incidentally, is not going back into the race, so the repair's done, but Picciotto is not rejoining as over the line go the leaders. And what was 6 seconds is down to 4.9. So Frederick's charge against Ulysse de Pauw is certainly working for him, but he's going to run out of time. On that last lap, he was only 34 thousandths slower than he had been the lap before, so certainly charging on to good effect, but he's going to run out of laps against Ulysse de Pauw, who only has to win by 1,000th of a second as long as he wins. Doesn't matter what the gap is, as long as he wins the race, he can afford to take it a bit easier. Frederick will get closer towards the end, however, as there, going up through McLean's corner, is Ulysse de Pauw. He's going to get one more lap out of this, looking at the time, and it will be the last lap anyway. This is lap 11. So the time and the laps will coincide, as Frederick then is second, Oliver Clark third. There he is, number 62, in the Hill Speed racing car, the team of Richard Orrenshaw, making an impact in British Formula 3 this season. Remember, everybody in the same car. International Formula 3 had been going that way because of the dominance of Dallara, but this is by definition a one-make championship. By regulation they are Tatius Mountune car engine combinations. You'll see the shark fin bodywork this year at the rear of the car, evolutions of them to modernise, to freshen the series. And Ulysse de Pauw, with the experience gleaned last year of car, of team, of circuit, leads at Donington Park. He comes with a touch of understeer into Goddard's. He's onto the power now, Ben. So the quick Belgian driver up towards the line. This will do his confidence a huge amount of good, especially given that he lost out at Alton Park, being excluded from the third race for a yellow flag infringement. So he was struggling there on points, but this will bring him back into the mix. Still in second place, Frederick. Another fastest lap of the race done last time, 1 minute 40.067. He's got to make up 3.5 seconds, and he is 1.5 seconds a lap quicker. He's not going to do it, but it's going to be near. So there he is, Frederick from 11th on the grid. It's been an impressive drive, this, hasn't it? Because you've got to do the overtaking in the spray, offline. And he's done this on merit. It's not been by people falling off the road ahead of him, with the exception of Hijawi. He's the only one driver really that's had a drama, apart from their Piers Pryor, who was in strife down at the Melbourne hairpin. Gets going again now. Piers Pryor, after a half spin, rejoins. What did that cost him? 2 places is what it cost him. Right, Ulysse de Pauw clearing the lead. Frederick chasing on. He's taken another 3/10 out within the first sector alone. And there is the lead gap, and you can see how it is coming down and down and down and down. But Ulysse de Pauw's only got to hang on for 3 more sections of the circuit. That's the first of them negotiated, coming out of the S's. Down now towards the Melbourne hairpin. Sets the car up, turns through that tight right on this very stop-start section. The hairpins, the Grand Prix loop as it's known, introduced in 1985 for the first visit to Donington Park, the Formula 3000 that was new that year. Into Goddard's then, the final corner, the lead gap coming down, but it's going to be finally a maiden win in BRDC British F3 for the Belgian driver Ulysse de Pauw. He will win round 6 of the championship. Ulysse de Pauw wins at Donington. Second goes the way of Frederick. So from 11th to 2nd, and the fastest lap of the race as well. Great drive by the American driver, who finishes well clear of the third place man, Oliver Clark. 8.5 seconds nearly back he was. 4th, Bart Halston ahead of Benjamin Pedersen. 6th across the line, Kushmani from Nazim Asman. Louis Foster goes from 18th to 8th. Really good run that by him to gain 10 places. 9th goes the way of Carter Williams, and Josh Mason up into the top 10 ahead of Nico Baroni. Kian Jewis almost went backwards. He only gained 2 places. He yo-yoed a bit, but not what we anticipated out of Kian. Piers Pryor dropped to 13th. Josh Skelton was 14th, and the American Riso Shijima 15th. With, it should then be Max Maserati to take 16th and Sasakon Chaimankol to round out the order. But for Ulysse de Pauw, a very impressive drive indeed. But Frederick and Louis Foster, the other stars of the race. the checkered flag displayed, and you see still how non-August like the conditions are here with the spray and the gloom as the drivers, in the case here in fact of DePauw and Frederick, almost making you wonder whether they've seen the checkered flag. It was a 12-lap race for sure. Maybe in the gloom they didn't actually see it, but Caleb Frederick has caught Ulysse DePauw, but it's a superfluous effort because it is after the race had finished, so the results declared anyway. Caleb Frederick maybe just trying to prove a point, saying, look, I'm so much quicker, could have won. But let's see whether Ulysse DePauw appeals to pit in or not. Comes through Goddard's. He is the race winner, and yes, he does. So thankfully they had seen the flag. They then go round again, and that means we can confirm a race result of Ulysse DePauw taking his first victory in his second season. Caleb Frederick taking second place here at Donington, with Oliver Clark third ahead of Bart Horston in fourth in this spare car. His usual tub damaged in a testing accident in the week. Benjamin Pedersen fifth ahead of Kush Miney, with Nazim Asman seventh. Eighth going the way of Louis Foster ahead of Carter Williams, and then Josh Mason in 10th. Nico Veroni 11th, retiring yesterday. 12th Kian Dewis and 13th Piers Pryor. 14th going to Josh Skelton, and Reese Ushijima finishing in 15th place. Then from the front row, but falling backwards, learning about these cars, Max Maserati in 16th place. Sasakon Chaimonkol, the last of those still circulating, although he did have a pit stop. Remember, he was off the road on that one. And the two retirements, Guillaume Pachotto and Manaf Hijawi, with a pit stop, an enforced pit stop for Pachotto, and of course the crash that we saw down at the old hairpin doing for Manaf Hijawi. And there indeed is the car, which will need retrieving. The Donington track staff there to put the tar wall back into position. And real shame that, because Manaf Hijawi was looking good early doors in that race. He got second place, of course, but then ran wide, the car flicking across the road, and that was him pretty much done for. So well done to Ulysse DePauw. It's been a long time coming, that maiden win, but an excellent job done. Caleb Frederick taking second place, impressive drive, and you see the reverse grid race and the overtaking point working with him, with Louis Foster, Kushmani, all making their way up the field compared to their qualifying position. Caleb Frederick getting the fastest lap as well, and Oliver Clark coming home in third position. Let's have a look at the highlights then of the sixth round of the BRDC British F3 Championship. On a wet road at Donington Park, it all began with a great start by Ulysse DePauw. He was about 4 lengths clear, even by turn one, made an absolutely perfect start, and leaving everybody else to battle in his wake. He was the pioneer on the first lap, finding out where the grip levels were. Everybody else, though, had the spray to contend with, and that made his life a little easier as he was able to build the gap early on. Max Maserati, already having dropped back a little bit, was behind Carter Williams, defending from Oliver Clark, and he would continue to get roughed up over the opening lap of the race. Manaf Hijawi in number 71 was also making progress, but that was Maserati being forced wide over the curb. That delayed Clark, and it gave Hijawi 2 places in one move as he dived through on the inside line, heading down towards the Melbourne hairpin. And then Maserati again forced out wide, so no wonder, in fairness to him, he lost lots of places. The damage was done on the opening lap, and it wasn't really all down to him. He was trying to learn about the car in these conditions, but getting duffed up by the others. Hijawi went second at the end of the opening lap, through on the inside to go ahead of Carter Williams. Williams fought back as they went across the line, and then Hijawi braked late, diving down towards turn one into Redgate corner. That put him on the inside line for Redgate and for Hollywood itself, even though Williams got his nose back in front. Hijawi went through, but then he just ran a little wide onto that painted curb at the old hairpin. The back overtook the front, and boom, off into the barriers he went. Broken suspension, and that was Manaf Hijawi out of the race. He wasn't the only spinner, because we also had a rotation from Josh Skelton, and off through the gravel went Guillaume Pachotto. He damaged the nose cone of the car, got a black and orange flag that he ignored. That became a black one, and then he was out of the race. Caleb Frederick was carving his way up through the field as well. He got second before flag fall off Oliver Clark. The battle continued lower down as Kush Miney was on his toes, getting up past Carter Williams, but there was no stopping Ulysse DePauw as Piers Pryor had a spin. It is a win in race 2 of the weekend for Ulysse DePauw here from Donington. We'll see you later for race 3.